Welcome, friends. Glad to have you back and glad to be back with you tonight. I'm Marianne from Kiss Up Cards. Keep it simple stamping up. And so I want you to make cards, to send those cards and send kindness out one card at a time. So I'm bringing to you tonight cards that are already pre-cut. Okay, so in Stampin' Up, we have some kits available where you purchase the envelopes and the cards like this. So you have to fold them. So they come like this. They're already pre-scored and you just fold them. Okay, so that's how they come. All right, so here we are with the cards that are already pre-cut for you. So usually a kit comes with 20 envelopes and 20 cards, and the cards come like this, and then you fold them and get them into the card shape. Now you've probably noticed these are a little smaller than what I usually have been showing you. So these are 5 by 3.5. Okay, so I've wrote my measurement down, wrote it down. Now, going back to the matting technique that I shared with you in a few videos, just search matting technique and you can go through that, but I'll go through a bit of it again today. You can take, okay, so I'm going to go down by 1/4 inches. You can go down by 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch. Probably not any more than 1/4 of an inch because you're working with a smaller card. Or you can just make a square. So you got 5 by 3.5. You could do a 3 by 3 square, and I'll show you that in a second and how to do that. Okay, so right now let's focus on matting. So I have a mat cut out that's 1/4 of an inch smaller. Okay, and then I have, whoops, that's too long, the pattern paper or designer paper as we call it, 1/4 of an inch smaller. Okay, so I'll just glue those down. Again, I could do the technique of folding this back, that corner back, as I've shown in probably I think it was my easy card technique. Or I can leave it like this. This is going to be for a fisherman. It's got all kinds of, what do you call those things? The fish hooks, the lures pictures on it. So it'll make a nice little birthday card. Okay, so there's a birthday card we're going to make up. All right, so I'm just going to take my glue, and I always find it easier to glue this down first on here on my mat. Now this is non-directional lures. They're going every which way, so there's no direction on it. Okay, and then I take this mat and I glue it down to here. Okay, there's a little bit of dirt on there that I was rubbing, but you know what? It was a cover up. It's all covered up. Now that's why I like the glue. I find I have a little bit of play with it before I secure it down. And then I'm going to embellish this, but I'm going to show you embellishments on another video. Okay, so we're just going to put these cards together. So now we're going to work on the 3 by 3 inch square. And so I'm using 2 pieces of a designer paper. So this is like just a muted background, and then this one has smaller flowers on it, but it picks up the color that's in this background. So I'm just going to cut this into now this is a 6 by 6, so 3 by 3 works really well. You could make 4 cards just out of this one piece if you use this as the mat. So I don't always use cardstock for a mat. Now, this one, I'm going to cut 2 3/4 because I'm going down by 1/4 inch. So 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Okay. Let me just cut this one 2 3/4 as well, because I'll make 2 of them. This little piece can be used on the inside of your card, or you can toss it, or you can keep it and make something else when you have a whole bunch of scraps together. Okay, so let me set this card aside. Let's bring these 2 cards out. So look at this. I've got pattern on pattern, and it looks beautiful. And then this is just going to sit here. It can't sit on an angle because it's too big, but it's going to sit here on my card, and I'm going to put the sentiment, just stamp it directly on the card. Okay, so again, this just goes back to matting and different ways to do it. Oh, I wish I glued the other one on first. That's not going to make any difference, but so I'm just going to do my measurements along these 3 sides. I'm not going to focus at the bottom at all. And set that on top, and then put this on top. Now that adds a really unique design as well, is the pattern on the pattern. Okay, so I'm just going to glue up this other card. I'll glue this on first. I don't know why I always like doing that first, but I do. If I flub it up, I'm only out this piece rather than the whole card. Or I would do there's a way to fix our errors. There's always a way to fix our errors, most often. So again, I'm just going to look at the outside edge and then secure that down. Okay, so I'm going to stamp directly on here, or I could stamp on, I could stamp on this and raise it up a bit, white on white. A lot of people do that, and it is beautiful. It is beautiful. And then we'll embellish that. So there's a 3x3 square, and then the smaller version on the bottom. Now this one, we're not going to mat at all. We're just going to put it directly on the card. So my card is 5 3 by 3.5. I always write the measurements down, and I always write what I'm going to cut the measurement to. So on this one, the mat was 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. And then the designer series paper, I had already had it cut out, I was cheating, is 4 1/2 by 3. So you see how we're just going down by 1/4 increments, okay? Then this was, we made 3x3 squares. So that left a wider frame around the outside. You could have done, you know, a 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 square, and that would just make it a little different. And maybe that's what we'll do as well. But this one I'm going to show you first. So this piece I'm going to just put on the card without a mat. This is going to be the whole card, okay? So then I just need to go to the 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. And this is not really directional paper, so I don't need to worry about it. So I'm going to do 4 3/4, so that would not be this way. I would do this, 4 3/4, okay, by 3 1/4. There I got some pieces maybe for an envelope or the inside of the card. And so then this can just go directly on the card. You see that? Okay. And that looks beautiful as well. So let's get that on. Whoops. No, I don't like the background. Pink. I was going to flip the corner, but I don't think I will on this one. Sometimes that works beautifully and sometimes it doesn't. All right, I love this paper. This can be like, we can make it for Christmas. You could color the berries red. It's just beautiful. So we're going to embellish that on the next video. So you'll have to come up on the next video. So I was going to show you 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. All right, so I picked this. I love this paper as well. And the back matches really beautifully. So I'm going to do 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. 3 1/4. Whoops, bring my blade down. So you're starting off with this costing $1.68. Always work it backwards. You're going to hear me say that often. Work it backwards. So you're starting off with 68 cents. You get some cardstock, some pattern paper. You're using a little amount of it, and I would say like for $1.50, you've got a card that you're going to be able to send to someone. Maybe $2 with embellishments. I think I'm being quite generous in that money factor, but that's like, it's a great way of sending kindness one card at a time by something that you've created, especially for your loved ones, your friends, neighbors, colleagues, work colleagues, and that, sharing one kindness at a time. Thank you for joining me.